Welcome to Film-tastic. Today I'm going to be reviewing Disney Animations and Kugali's joint collaborative animated show called Iwájú, which is out now on Disney Plus, all 6 episodes. I have binged all 6 in a row, which I'm glad I did because it really does feel like a movie type thing, kind of chopped into like several episodes, so it felt really good to do it in a binge. And this show is really cool. You have really endearing, lead characters in Tola and Collie. I'm particularly a fan of. I mean, I really just love Tola's like positivity and just how, despite her growing up in like a isolated, you know, place of wealth on her own with her tech dad, she still cares so much about, when she eventually goes to the city and the mainland, she still cares so much about people that, don't have the privileges that she gives them, water and food. And I think her best friend Coley kind of recognizes that as well. Is like, she's still a great person despite not growing up poor like I have. And that's what's really interesting, that dynamic. It takes me back to like the Aladdin sort of, movie with like Jasmine and Aladdin having like different ways of the world, and same with like Tiara and Naveen as well in Princess of Frog. It's really kind of going that sort of route of the two main leads, and I love it. I love this dynamic so much because the two characters can learn so much from each other, and it's so cool. I also love as well how Cody gets wrapped into some pretty dangerous situations, and he kind of knowingly I suppose, gets Tola dragged into it, and he, obviously feels really guilty, and they do make up for it in the end, but it's kind of things where he had no choice. But yeah, Cody's like a really interesting, well-layered character. You learn so much about him. In fact, most of these characters have a lot of like depth to them, and I really sort of enjoyed their stories that they told. And there's also a villain as well, guys, in this show, which is really cool. And the villain is essentially trapping or kidnapping children to try and, get the parents to pay money to get their children back. I'm pretty sure his plot was also in Oliver and Company, but like this is like a modern day version of that plot, I suppose. And obviously it's still kind of like topical and like a real world issue and stuff. But like the villain likes to think he's like Robin Hood, but instead of giving back to the poor, he keeps the money for himself, because the villain's origin is that he was really poor and he couldn't afford anything. He was on the street, like a street rat, as they say in Aladdin, and his parents couldn't afford anything, and he always looked up to those with money. And it's like, well, we should take their money and give it to us. And his way of doing that is luring the children out and kidnapping them. And obviously he targets Tola. And because Cody's wrapped up in this situation, he's kind of dragged into bringing her into it. And there's this whole thing where her dad has to like pay money to the guy, and then we have to and then hang on, let me finish this sentence first. And then obviously, basically, the bad guy just kind of makes it complicated. He's like, that's not enough. I want your tech company. I want to be able to control your tech. Let me in, and all that jazz. But anyway, so the bad guy's bad, good people good. But yeah, it's a real sort of like dark, mature story actually, which is quite surprising. But I really enjoyed it. That like going from Wish to this is quite whiplash, but it's good. I like it. I like it. We also obviously have to talk about the lizard, right? I think it's a lizard, right? And it's like Otti is this his name, I believe. And Otti is actually not a lizard, he's a robot that looks like a lizard. And Tola's father programmed him to protect the kids that were being kidnapped, because her whole idea is that her dad's like this tech giant, and he's looking into the situation, trying to figure out who's the guy behind it. So he kind of makes these robots underneath. He gets money from his boss to do this, and he wants to test out Otti. So he gives it to his daughter Tola for her birthday, and obviously she doesn't know that it's actually this crazy robot that can talk and can grow huge and it's a really cool character. A lot of the action from this show comes from Otti, and he definitely looks like he looks a lot like Bruni. Well, not even he, it's a she. She looks a lot like Bruni. They could be twins, to be honest, but I'm not gonna lie though, no offense to Bruni, but I feel like Otti is a bit cooler. He is cool. He just is like, he's like, okay, why do you call her he? She's just so cool. with like the pattern on her back, you know, the way how she defends like Tola. It's really great. I love it. And you know, obviously when they find out in the end that, you know, Tola finds out that, you know, her pet is like not even a pet, then they just obviously, you know, kind of go all out to, you know, try and get her like recharged, which is kind of cool. And Curly is a big help in that because he's actually a entrepreneur for Tola's dad, which is how they became best friends, because he was like working for her dad or something. But he was not treated equally until at the end of the show, where like her dad decides to like put interest into him and like maybe pay for him to invest in his own tech in the future. But yeah, it's a really interesting story. It's set in a future Nigeria as well, so some really cool you know, settings in this show. But yeah, it's definitely like a short little show, and like, it is a mini series, so I don't really get any more from it. But the 6 episodes that I watched today were really good, and it did feel like a nicer movie. I would have liked a bit more action in it, I suppose, is kind of something, but we don't really get a lot of like character central Disney movies these days, like ones that are centered on like a big character sort of like arc for each character. So that's, I guess it's kind of refreshing. Also, it's refreshing to have a bad guy, because this guy he's really something, guys. Like, he's definitely much scarier than Kimonifico. So if you guys want a Disney villain, this guy is he's up there. But he's also one of those ones where he has like his traumatic backstory as well, so you do kind of understand where he comes from. But yeah, overall, it's a great show, guys. I'd recommend it. It's on Disney Plus right now if you guys want to check it out. There's also a documentary as well. For the first collaborative project from Disney Animation, it was a really good one. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon.